Hi everyone, we are talking about synonyms and antonyms again. We talked about this earlier this week. And just remember, a synonym is a word that means the same or almost the same as another word. Synonym, same. An antonym is a word that is opposite in meaning to another word. So they are not the same. They are different things. So over here we have some examples. Number one, the rabbit is fast while the turtle is slow. So we're looking at fast and we're looking at slow. Fast and slow. Those two words, well, I know fast and slow are not the same thing. So those words are antonyms. Number two, the tiny egg lay on the bottom of the little leaf. So tiny and little. Both of those things, I'm picturing it in my head, both of those things are small. So I think those words are synonyms. Number three, the perfect square was accurate on all sides. So perfect and accurate. Are those synonyms or are those antonyms? I'm thinking about like if I'm doing work in class, and if it's perfect and if it's accurate, I got all of my questions accurately answered, that means they're all correct. So perfect and accurate, those are synonyms. And the last one, number four, you can have a piece, but not the whole pie. Oh, now I'm picturing pie. So we have piece and whole. So if you have a piece of something, then you have a whole something else. Those are antonyms. Those are not the same thing. A piece is only part, but a whole means it's the entire thing. So those would be antonyms. So now we are going to look at the elements of drama, because the story that we have been using in our My Book is a play, the Catch Me If You Can play. So as we're looking at this, a drama or a play, those are synonyms, is a story performed by actors on a stage. So a play tells a story that was written to be performed by actors with an audience. And so dramas and plays have a cast of characters, and all of these are usually portrayed by actors. That's who's being these characters. There's also dialogue, which are the words that the characters are speaking. So over here we've got tortoise and hare and their speaking parts. The script is the text of the play. So that's all of those things that you're seeing. What you're reading is the script. There's also a narrator who's not necessarily part of the cast of characters, but it's a speaking part where the person tells what's happening during the play. And then there's the setting, like any story. The setting is the time and place in the play. But now a scene is an action that takes place in a single setting. So if the setting does not change, it's part of the same scene. But when the setting does change, the scene changes and it is a part of an act, or it's like a chapter in a play that contains more than one scene. So it will probably also have more than one setting. Next is stage directions. And these are written instructions that are telling the actors what to do. For example, runs off stage. Now, you will read that as you read the script of the play. Remember, that's the text. But if you were actually doing the play and putting on that performance, you wouldn't read the stage directions out loud. So remember, a story, a poem, and a play are all three different things. So recognizing a play, the easiest way I know how to do that, and the quickest way, is when I'm looking at that dialogue where I see the characters and what they're saying. I know that that's how plays are written. Sometimes poems are written broken down in lines like this too, but they don't necessarily have those characters speaking. So let's look at page 207 in your My Book. We're going to look at the Catch Me If You Can story. Well, the Catch Me If You Can play, I should say. We are going to read page 207 and think about what elements of a drama we see. So over here, this is where I'm reading it, section 28, narrator. Just then John walked by. He lived in the town and had seen Atalanta only from a distance, but he knew how bright and interesting she was. Young John enters. Second young man. Hey, young John, are you going to try out for the race? Young John. I was thinking about it. First young man. You're going to have to do more than just think about it to beat us. Third young man. So you want a chance to marry Princess Atalanta too? Young John. Not really. I just want a chance to talk to her, get to know her. Fifth young man. Talk to her? What's the deal with that? Men scoff at him. Young John. I don't think it's right for Atalanta's father to give her away as a prize. She should get to choose who she wants to marry, or even if she wants to get married at all. First young man. That's really weird. Let's go, guys. Young men exit. So, how do the words and their arrangement look on this page? Like, it looks different than if you're just reading a normal, like a storybook or a chapter book. Stories are written in sentences and paragraphs. There's dialogue and there's quotation marks. Poems are written in lines that oftentimes they'll have rhyming words and stanzas, but a play, which is what this is, shows dialogue without quotation marks. So it's still dialogue, but it does not have those quotation marks we're used to seeing. A character's name is placed before the words he or she speaks, and the stage directions are what tell how the characters are acting. So that's what we see here. There's narrator, second young man, young John, and then these parentheses, young John enters, young men exit, men scoff at him. Those are all those stage directions. So now, let's go to the next page, page 209. And it says, narrator. At first, the runners ran as a group, but soon Atalanta pulled ahead. She does so. Before long, most of the runners fell down exhausted. They do, but not young John. Except for one runner. Young John kept right up with Atalanta. They are side by side now. Atalanta. What do you think you're doing? Young John. Keeping up with you. Atalanta. I can see that. I'm impressed. They smile at each other. Narrator. Atalanta and young John cross the finish line side by side. Spectators cheer. Atalanta and young John stop running, breathing hard, high-five each other. King coming to them. Who is this young man, Atalanta? Atalanta. Father, this is young John from our town. Young John extends hand to King. They shake. So, what event is taking place at this part of the play? And so, they are doing the race to determine who will marry Atalanta. And which characters are speaking? Well, if we look over here, it's pretty easy to tell because we have narrator, Atalanta, young John, and the king. Those are all speaking parts in this section of the text. And what do the stage directions tell us that the spectators are doing? I'm looking for that word, spectators. The spectators cheer. That's what they do. So, reading these poems, it's a little different than just reading a normal story that we might be used to seeing, or even a poem. But once you get the hang of it, you can picture it in your head and visualize it just like you can anything that you read.